Duck boats are a fixture on our streets, a magnet for tourists and, yes, a few locals looking for a fun way to see and experience Boston. And they are popular. The company started in '94 with 4 ducks. Today there are 28 roaming city streets and barking out historic facts. And of course, they have become a staple of championship parades for the local teams. But this spring, a tragedy on the corner of Beacon and Charles Street raised the question, are they safe? 28-year-old Alison Warmoth was on a moped when she got clipped by one of these vehicles in her adopted hometown. She died from her injuries. This followed high-profile accidents from around the country, like when a tugboat rammed a duck boat on a river in Philadelphia, or this collision on a bridge in Seattle which killed 4 international students. Alison's parents are now trying to improve safety measures on these vehicles in Massachusetts, and they're here to talk about their efforts and their daughter, Martha and Ivan Warmoth. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
You're quoted in the Times, one of you saying, in the Globe, saying, "We want to become advocates for safety and honor of our daughter, so anything we're doing we feel is therapeutic." You've met with public leaders. You tend to flowers at the site of your daughter's death. 2.5 months is all that has passed. Has it been therapeutic?
Every day it is to some degree. You know, we talk to a lot of people. I'm very open to talk to people and tell them what happened. I'll ask them, you know, do you know about the girl that was killed by the duck boat? And almost everyone has heard about it. And then I'll ask them, well, do you know about the blind spot? There's at least a 5-foot blind spot on the front of those duck boats.
We're going to show that while you're speaking. Yeah.
Right. And so many people have not heard about that, did not know. They're shocked, really.
I'm one of them, by the way. You know, is there a piece of you that says, I want to go home to Plattsburgh, New York. I don't want to have to tell the story of this kid I loved day after day after day and plead with public officials, do the right thing. Is there not part of you that says, that's what I want to do?
Certainly, I myself am somewhat of a private person, and I would prefer not to have to go through this. But on the other hand, we became aware of how many tragedies are occurring on the streets, and where we've seen that there are high-risk situations, we want to address that. And we think it is an honor to our daughter. It is therapeutic. It's something that we're prepared to, you know, to do, even if it hurts a bit to have to go recount the story.
The bill has been filed. It's Senate 2354 by Will Brownsberger, and the good news is it's got the support of both chairs of the Transportation Committee. It's pretty simple. I read the bill today. I thought it was going to be 100 pages. It's like 3 lines. Sensors or blind spot cameras to deal with the thing you were talking about. The driver can't be distracted. And this is in a state where I can't text and drive, so your position pretty rationally is you can't drive a huge vehicle and be narrating a tour. That's the essence of what you're trying to do here, Ivan. Is that not it?
Absolutely.
And are you hopeful that the legislature is going home pretty quickly? The good news, we spoke to Brownsberger at his office today. The good news is, I said, the 2 chairs support this, but the clock is ticking. Are you hopeful the legislature is going to give you what you're looking for here?
I'm very hopeful. I just believe in the impossible, you know, and it seems like an impossible thing. People always say, oh, Massachusetts legislature, you know, it tends to run slowly, but I believe in the impossible, and I think that it's a common sense bill for the safety of the people.
Piece of either of you that says this is not enough? These just don't belong on crowded city streets like Boston's? I know that's a radical solution, but
absolutely. The duck boats themselves, the way they're designed, they're simply not proper for use on city streets. The driver is 10 feet back from the front of the vehicle, way up in the air. There's these huge blind spots, as we talked about. It's just totally different than any other vehicle that's used in the city buses, the trolleys. You always have the driver up front where he has clear lines of sight to what's in front of him. These duck boats really are poorly designed for the application they're being used in. You have the super ducks, the new vehicles. The driver's up front, he's got great sight lines. And by the way, Super Ducks is using a second person to narrate the history and maintain safety, make sure people are safely seated on the vehicle.
But I want to be clear, if the legislature said to you, you tell us what to do, you'd go the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely, absolutely. They should change the vehicle, but on the other hand, you know, we're not out to stop the amphibious tour experience. We want that to go on. We think it's something that people really enjoy, and we have nothing against that. We just want to make it safe.
But I would say that these duck boats did not come over on the Mayflower. They haven't been here forever, and they're not safe the way they are right now.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not saying that I don't care if they stay, because they are inherently dangerous.
So it'd be better if we didn't have them at all.
Well, it would be.
In their current configuration.
Understood. Martha, but so in some configuration.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, once again, we think the Super Ducks is so much more practical for the use it's being used for.
Cindy Brown runs the duck boat operation. Have you met with her?
Yes.
What was that like?
This is the first person that we met with, and we asked for the exact two things that are in the Brownsburger bill.
What'd
to
she
have a
say?
second person to narrate the tour and allow the driver to focus on driving and eliminate the distracted driving, and to add the cameras and proximity sensors. And she, while being very apologetic, she sent an email back a couple days later saying that they would look at cameras. The rest, they were going to wait for the completion of the accident investigation. As you know, that could take many months. So we were not really happy with the response from Cindy Brown. They have started installing cameras, to their credit, but
That's what she says in a statement. They sent us these sensors and some cameras.
they're experimenting with sensors. So there's progress, but on the other hand, there was an accident, almost identical accident, in 2011 in Seattle, where a young man on a motorcycle.
And they've made these changes, right?
They made the changes there in 2011, and she knows about it. She's known about it all that time. She's buying her vehicles from the same company that provide the vehicles to the operation in Seattle.
Martha, you and your husband are not the first parents.
They had two people, I'm sorry. They had two people in Seattle to give the tour.
They made them install the cameras after the accident in 2011.
What you're looking for essentially here.
Exactly.
And they made them add a second person to the vehicle after the accident in 2015, where actually 5 people were killed.
I know.
And
yes.
I'm sorry,
Sure.
the cameras that they've added here, people may say, well, they've added cameras, so this is all great, now we're good. But from what I can see, there's one camera on the front on the right-hand side, so it's looking at the right blind spot. But I think my daughter still would have died, because there's a whole other section in the front and the left that...
Speaking of your daughter, sadly, I've had the opportunity to say this to a number of people in your position. Everybody watching the show knows how your daughter died, but almost nobody knows how your daughter lived. I mean, you've talked a little bit about us. Martha, first, tell us something we don't know about Allison.
Oh. Well, my oldest daughter said that she was a friend to everyone, but you just hadn't met her yet. And she had a smile that would light up the room and the world. She was so positive. She didn't see, when you see a rose bush, she didn't see the thorns, she just saw the roses. And she was kind and generous. She volunteered with, a lot of people know that, the Women's Lunch Place. And,
I'm sure.
And she really did care about other people.
Javier, you want to add anything about your oldest daughter?
Yeah, she was an exceptional young woman, as Martha said, in her personal life, but also in her career. She was an underwriter for Lexington Insurance, a subsidiary of AIG. She was advancing quickly in her career. She had just passed the GMATs with a very high score. She was applying to MBA school and would be starting that this fall if this hadn't happened. She was a remarkable young woman in many ways, an athlete. She loved going on adventures, hiking, backpacking, these types of things, skiing. She was just a great daughter that we love so much, and of course she left behind 2 sisters who this is an extremely devastating tragedy.
Well, I didn't know her, and most of us did not. I feel confident in saying she'd be proud of what you're doing in her name, so thank you both. And again, the bill is Senate 2354. If you care about the issue, like the war must do, please call your rep or senator and tell them what you think. Martha, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it, and Ivan, thank you. Good luck with everything. you're doing. We invited the CEO of Boston Duck Tours, Cindy Brown. We spoke to her to join us back in May, immediately after the accident from August 30. We got no response. We invited her again today. We did get a statement in part saying that they installed some of these things. We hope she will join us at some point in the future to respond to what the Warmists had to say.